Hello, my dear nuggets. Today, we're going to be coloring something that we should have colored a long time ago. Man, I'm so bad at staying consistent with my uploads. But yeah, in case you're new here and you have no idea what I'm doing, I'm starting this YouTube series to document my progress of making an art book with 24 illustrations to make drawing fun again. For the longest time, I had pretty bad artist block, and I want this opportunity now before my master starts to create a body of work that's colorful, that sings to my soul, that just makes me happy while looking at it. So expect a lot of half-naked men and lots of flowers and bright colors. So yeah, that's my value proposition for this project. And now back to the thing we're actually coloring. Yeah, for context, this piece is the third piece that I've started on during my the initial stages of this art book project nonsense. So when I said at the start of the video that it took me quite a while to finally finish this piece, I really meant it. This is legit one of the OG, the first batch of illustrations that come out of this project. And I'm ashamed that it took me this long to finish it, to finally get the motivation to start coloring it. But yeah, as the line art process of me drawing little ranunculus flowers plays on, I want to talk about, at least somewhat in brief, the artist that inspired this illustration in particular. So I was inspired by Chantal Leonhardt. I think that's her name. I'm gonna put it on screen now because I'm dumb. So to give a better introduction of Chantal and her work, Chantal is a watercolor artist based in Australia, and she's quite active on YouTube and Instagram, I think. So on her YouTube, she is using her channel to document her process, mainly anyway, to document her process of creating a children's book called Adina's World. As far as I'm aware, as per her last upload or whatever, she's on page 10, which I think is halfway there. I think. So she's halfway finished with her children's book, and she will open pre-orders if you sign up to her mailing list or something like that. So she's creating Adina's World, which follows the adventures of a little blonde girl as she navigates her experiences growing up, I think. Yeah, so I'm really going with a lot of I thinks because I'm trying to remember what she said in her YouTube videos. Yeah, yes, so she's doing the children's book called Adina's World, and every single page is traditionally done, she's rendering everything by hand on these large pieces of watercolor paper. So she will do every page in watercolor, and I find that so impressive. Yes, so now that we're at the coloring stage, I want to talk a bit about the sort of work that she likes to do. So based on the pages that we see from her children's book, alongside just her paintings in general and her portfolio, from what I like to see, from what I'm seeing, is that she likes to have a lot of detail. So you see that her compositions are somewhat flat, as in there's not much perspective in terms of foreground or background, but what she does have is a lot of detail. So if you look closely, right, you see that there's a lot of leaves, a lot of flowers, a lot of fruits, and most of her subjects feature a child with an animal, or at least the paintings that I'm drawn to feature a child with an animal. And so that sort of innocent subject matter plus this careful attention to rendering nature with very loose watercolor strokes, these two things combined, right, give me a sense of whimsy, innocence, and it's quite charming. If that makes sense, it's very charming in the sense that it depicts a moment of tranquility where nature and humanity the innocence of childhood are told very affectionately with painting. Through painting, yes. As you can see, I did not script any of this, but I'm just saying that like I really like how charming her work is, and I want to replicate that kind of charm into my own piece, into my own work, even though I don't particularly like children. Yeah. So following in lieu of like Chantel's work, in this illustration, I try to include a lot of details. So I try to include a lot of flowers, a lot of leaves. Something that I want to like, be more considerate of, I guess, is maybe next time I'd like to include an animal. Actually, what I realized is that like a very few of these art book projects illustrations include animals, and I really love drawing animals, so maybe that's like a potential project I can do in the future, just to draw my animals. But yeah, that aside, something that I also really like about Chantel's work, apart from the details and the subject matter, is the colors that she uses. So if you know me, right, I like to use bold colors. I like to pump the saturation meter to the max, but for Chantel, her work is very pastel. I know she's trying to like push out of her comfort zone to create contrast for the sake of her children's book, but if you look through her portfolio, like a lot of her pieces are very pastel. They're very low contrast. Her darkest shadows are not like black, but they're more of like a dark foresty, somewhat olive toned green. Okay, it's not very contrasty, and I think it's quite like it lends to the children's book whimsical charm that I talked about earlier. Like it creates a sort of handmade, I guess, kind of look. I quite like it. I don't know how to describe it. It's quite charming, as I keep saying. It's quite charming, and I don't know, it feels very cohesive. It's like a very strong cohesive language, seeing all her paintings be so pastel toned and like not at all like bold or striking. It's very cohesive, it's very pleasing to the eye. So I tried to include that in my own work. Like I wanted to use a lot of pinks to pay homage to Chantel's style. Like I tried to use a lot of pinks, a lot of purples, a lot of greens. The difference is, unlike Chantel, I need my strong contrasts. Like I think the earliest like mock-up of this illustration featured quite pastel tones, but even though for her pastel tones look fine, they look lovely, they look cohesive. For me, when I see like very dull, low contrast on my iPad, I feel like the piece is very incomplete. So unfortunately, I failed Chantel Senpai in that aspect, but I'm still very pleased with the colors. Like I'm using a lot of pinks, which I would very normally stray far away from. And I don't know if you'll see in this video, but I'll also include like this overlay layer. I think you're seeing it now, where like I emphasize the pinks and greens in the background. Chantel's art does not include washes like this of any kind. Like I said, it's very low contrast, very flat, very low saturation pastel, which is quite charming. But like I said, I need my colors. So yeah, that's why Marco's skin is a bit pink and green by the sides there. I like it. I think it, for my piece anyway, I like that the overlay layer sort of brings the colors closer together, and it gives a more unified like color story, a more unified color scheme, because there's a lot of like blues, purples, oranges, yellows, and I think having an overlay layer that communicates pinks and greens so strongly unifies everything together. Yeah, at any rate though, please enjoy this lovely music, and I'll chat with you later in the video. Okay, thank you. back at this piece now, like, this is definitely a sleeper fave. Like I said, I usually don't enjoy using pastels and pinks in my work. But looking at this piece now, I feel, yeah, I think it's quite pretty. Like, I really like how vibrant the colors turned out. And I'm using a pretty dulled out CMYK color model, so I can only drool at how vibrant the colors will be once this thing is actually printed. So that's super fun. And right now, for quite a good portion of this video anyway, you're seeing me apply like this sort of paint-ish effect that I like to do on my illustrations. I just took like a dry paintbrush from one of those like default painting brushes in Procreate, made it like a little, tweak the settings a little to make it color changing, and sort of dragged the pigment out on the canvas here. I was really inspired by how like oil painters would let paint drip on the canvas. More specifically, like I am plagiarizing a technique done by 𝖤.𖥧.𝡼, where she would like drip oil paint down the canvas in vertical lines to create a very unique, dreamy look. So I'm plagiarizing that, and overall I think the piece that you're seeing now is better for it because the vertical lines of dry paint adds texture as well as this hazy effect, which, you know, unifies the colors together. Yay. And right now you're seeing just some fun little moments that I really want to document here for you. So I think just last week my sister and I went to the fucking AOT Beyond the Walls Orchestra. It was amazing. I made a dedicated short about it on my specific like photography account on Instagram, but it was so much fun. It was so hyped listening to the music live. It was so good. Being an AOT fan is so cool. And look at these super cute pictures of me at the photo booth with Armin, Aaron, and Mikasa. So good. It was so good. The whole experience was just 10 out of 10. I would totally go again. And okay, let's end this video on a good note. Thank you so much for watching, and kisses. Mwah.